All right, deep divers, strap in. We're diving into a Premier League clash that has all the makings of a classic. Bournemouth taking on the might of Arsenal. And let me tell you, you guys sent in some seriously in-depth research on this one. This isn't just about predicting the score. This is about understanding the tactical chess match that's about to unfold.
You got it. We're talking about those subtle edges, the individual matchups, even the psychological factors that can tip the scales. This is about seeing the game within the game.
I love it. So let's set the stage. On paper, this looks like Arsenal's game to lose, right?
Yeah.
They've been in red-hot form, unbeaten in their last few, and historically they tend to dominate Bournemouth.
True, but remember, football is played on grass, not paper.
Right, good point.
Arsenal might have history on their side, but Bournemouth has home advantage, and that can be a game changer, believe me. Plus, they've got Andoni Iraola at the helm, he's their manager, and the guy's known for setting up a rock-solid defense, especially at home.
Now that's interesting because you flagged something in your notes about Arsenal's injury concerns. Odegaard's ankle, those question marks over Saka and Partey. Even Havertz hasn't been at his best. Those aren't just squad players. We're talking about key parts of their attacking machine.
Exactly. And if they're not firing on all cylinders, Bournemouth could really make them pay. Remember that 5-1 drubbing back in 2021? Saka ran riot that day, and you can bet Arsenal will be desperate to avoid a repeat performance.
Oh, yeah, that was a tough one for Arsenal fans to swallow. So even with their impressive form, you're saying this is far from a guaranteed win for Arsenal. Bournemouth has a real shot at an upset.
Don't underestimate them. And here's where the tactical battle gets really juicy. You highlighted the contrast in playing styles. Arteta's Arsenal, they're all about possession-based football. High pressing, quick, incisive transitions. When it clicks, they're like a well-oiled machine.
And Bournemouth under Iraola, what's their MO?
Imagine a coiled spring. They're disciplined, well-drilled defensively, happy to let the opposition have the ball in less dangerous areas. And then, bam! They hit you on the break with these lightning-fast counterattacks.
So it's going to be this fascinating push and pull, Arsenal trying to unlock Bournemouth's defense, and Bournemouth just waiting for the right moment to pounce. And you mentioned Solanke earlier. He seems like the kind of player who could punish any defensive lapses from Arsenal, right?
Absolutely. The guy's rapid and clinical in front of goal. If Bournemouth can feed him with quality service, especially on those counterattacks, he could be the difference maker.
It's like a chess match unfolding before our eyes, each side with their own strengths and weaknesses. But it's not just about the physical game, is it? You also mentioned the mental aspect, the psychological warfare that can make or break a team, especially in a clash like this.
Ah, the mental game. Often where matches are won and lost. And you can bet both managers will be using every trick in the book to get an edge. Arsenal are riding high on confidence. Those recent comeback wins show they have that belief.
That never say die attitude.
Exactly. And that can be intimidating for any opponent. But on the flip side, Bournemouth might see this as a chance to rewrite the script, to finally overcome that mental hurdle that Arsenal seems to represent.
Because let's be honest, Arsenal have had their number in recent encounters.
They have indeed. And that weight of history, those past results, can play on the minds of both teams. Arsenal might come in with a sense of, dare I say, complacency.
Overconfidence.
Perhaps. But for Bournemouth, it could be a source of added motivation, a chance to prove the doubters wrong.
So we've got this tactical chess match brewing, individual battles waiting to explode all over the pitch, and then you layer on top of that the psychological dimension, the weight of expectation.
It's a recipe for a truly captivating encounter. And that's what we love about football, right? The unpredictability, the drama.
The moments of brilliance.
Precisely.
It's going to be a fascinating watch, that's for sure. But before we get too lost in the mind games, let's zoom in on some key individual battles. You flagged the midfield battle as potentially decisive, and I have to agree. Arsenal, they rely so heavily on Partey's dominance in that area, don't they?
He's like the engine room of their team, Partey, dictating the tempo, breaking up attacks, launching those quick transitions. If he's on form, it's bad news for the opposition.
So who does Bournemouth put up against him? Who can disrupt that rhythm, prevent Arsenal from finding their groove?
Keep an eye on Philip Billing for Bournemouth. He's a real workhorse in midfield, physically imposing, and don't underestimate his passing range. If Billing can get under Partey's skin, force him into some mistakes.
Win the ball back, launch those counterattacks we were talking about.
Exactly. That could be Bournemouth's key to unlocking this Arsenal defense.
A real clash of styles in the middle of the park. But let's not forget the potential fireworks at the other end of the pitch, eh? Arsenal's attack with Saka, Martinelli, those guys, lethal.
Electric. That's the word. They're so dangerous in one-on-one situations, and their movement off the ball is
A
just...
nightmare for defenders.
Tell me about it.
And yet, your notes here suggest that Bournemouth's defense shouldn't be underestimated. They might not have those flashy names, but
They're a unit. Disciplined, organized, well-drilled. One of your sources even described their defensive structure as a brick wall.
a brick wall. So how do you break down a brick wall? Do Bournemouth have the attacking firepower to really trouble Arsenal's backline?
Well, every wall has its cracks. And for Arsenal, it might be their susceptibility to those quick counters, especially if Bournemouth can catch them out of position high up the pitch.
That's where Solanke comes in, right? His
Yeah.
pace, his finishing.
Exactly. If they can find him with the right pass. Look, we've talked a lot about tactics, individual players, but what about the men in charge? Arteta at Arsenal, he seems to have worked wonders in terms of instilling belief in that squad.
They have that swagger back, don't they?
They do. Confidence, a swagger that we haven't seen from them in years. And that can be incredibly daunting for opponents.
And what about Iraola? How does his managerial style stack up? What can he bring to the table tactically to counter that Arsenal wave?
Errol is an interesting one, a bit of an enigma, really. He's adaptable, always tweaking his tactics to suit the opposition. But more than that, he knows how to get his players to buy into his system, to fight for every inch of the pitch.
So we've got this tactical chess match unfolding, individual battles brewing all over the pitch, and then you add in the human element, the passion, the desire. It sounds like a recipe for a truly captivating 90 minutes.
It does, doesn't it? And don't forget...
The weight of history.
Exactly. Your research highlighted Arsenal's dominance over Bournemouth in recent years.
Right, so that's got to be playing on the minds of both teams, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Arsenal might come in with that air of confidence, maybe even a touch of complacency, but you can bet that Bournemouth will be looking to rewrite the script, to finally overcome that mental hurdle that Arsenal represents.
You really have, it's fascinating. It's not just about the points, is it? It's about tactics, mentalities, history.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad I don't have to predict this one.
Me too. That's the beauty of football, though, right? The unpredictability.
Absolutely. So any final words of wisdom for our deep divers out there before we let them go and actually watch this thing unfold? What should they be looking out for? What could be the key to unlocking how this match plays out?
Keep an eye on those first 15 minutes. How Bournemouth set up in that opening phase, whether they try to weather the storm or come out swinging, that could tell us a lot.
Oh, that's a great shout. A goal either way in those first 15 minutes could really set the tone.
Couldn't agree more. And watch the players' body language, too. Even if Arsenal have all the momentum early on, can they handle it if Bournemouth frustrate them, if things get a bit scrappy?
Ah, so we're looking for those little signs of frustration, those arguments with the ref, those rash challenges.
Exactly. Those little details can reveal a lot about how the players are coping with the pressure, and how the match is really unfolding beneath the surface.
This has been brilliant, I have to say. You've given us so much to think about. I'm even more excited to watch this game now.
Me too. It has all the ingredients of a classic encounter.
It really does. Well, that's all we have time for on our tactical deep dive into Bournemouth versus Arsenal. We hope you've enjoyed this journey as much as we have.
Remember, folks, football is more than just goals and results. It's a story told through strategy, skill, and sometimes a little bit of luck.
Beautifully said. And who knows, maybe this match will give us a whole new chapter in the Bournemouth Arsenal story.